Welcome to the Own It Show. I'm Heather Lee Chapman, your holistic performance and business coach. And I'm so excited to be here with you all today. It's time to stop sacrificing your health and freedom and start scaling your results in your business and all areas of your life. Here at Own It Empire, we help entrepreneurs become high performers and increase their awareness so they can increase their impact and create profitable business online so that you can truly own it. Welcome back to the Own It Show. I'm Heather Lee Chapman, your holistic transformation coach and host. And today we have the amazing Don Gleason, who is a career transition coach who helps people find the job that energizes them. And today we're talking all about how to own your career transition. So thank you so much for being on the show today, Don.
Well, thank you, Heather. It's an honor to be here today, and it's been fun to get to know you over the last couple of months as we've prepared. So really enjoy it. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been amazing getting to know you and your journey and everything that you've been through, everything that you're doing, and all the people that you're helping to truly create a life that they love. So thank you for all that you do. And why don't you tell us more about you?
Yeah, and go back to what you just said. I'm going to deviate and say, I've been blessed. It has been one heck of a journey. I never would have imagined the path turning out anything like what it has. So I'm sure we'll touch on some of those things today. But I'm I guess it'd be a mid-level executive, came through the Air Force, got promoted up to the rank of colonel, had a lot of neat opportunities, just doing so many different things in the environmental field, in leadership field, finished my career off at the Pentagon as chief of readiness for the Air Force civil engineer. Got to go to Baghdad and work the reconstruction in 2004. And all that led to me getting in a contract job with Booz Allen Hamilton for 9 years and then turning into an entrepreneur. Follow my dream. I'd always had as I would fly around for the military and as a contractor, I'd read like the American Airlines magazine or Delta magazine. And you'd hear about these entrepreneurs. I said, I want to do that someday. And now here I am living that out. So just kind of following the path, following open doors, and just following God's lead.
I love that. And I know that you've done some studies after your work in the Air Force. So tell us, like, who have you studied with? I know you talk about John Maxwell a lot.
Oh, yeah. So interestingly enough, it was Thanksgiving of 2014. I thought about that entrepreneur path, and I saw an ad on Facebook. And he said, how about having a conversation about becoming a speaker, trainer, coach? And it was kind of funny. When I went to officer training school, my first speech was about how to do speeches because I was so nervous. And one of my last business trips, right? Temporary duty, we call it in the military, but duty trips. I was a lead person for I think we had about 1,500 people. And here I am speaking to 1,500 people in the conference. It's like, wow, have I come a long way? Now here I am becoming a certified speaker. And so it's been quite the journey. So John is, the most prolific author on leadership. He's the highest paid speaker, non-entertainment, non-celebrity, non-athlete, just to categorize that, but just loves personal growth. He's 75, I think, this year. So he's just got so many different sayings that just resonate. And as I talk to people, they say, oh, I know everything about leadership. Yeah, you probably do, but we probably forgot so much. So he has these little sayings, right? You have to touch a heart before you ask for a hand. Teamwork is the dream work. Teamwork makes the dream work. So I just love those kind of things and things I get to do. Last night, for the Alamo Project Management Institute, I talked about the DISC personality assessment. And they congratulated me, said, I've never seen anybody do a 45-minute presentation with not one PowerPoint slide. It was all interactive. It was all engagement with them on questions and talking to the big group. And I had a game where we did this helium stick and we related it back to project management and they just loved it. I got, I think, scores of like 4.95 out of 5 on average. So I just credit him a lot with helping me really think into how I speak, the message I bring across, the stories that I talk about. And it's really powerful.
And you were speaking today again as well. Where were you speaking today?
Today it was a pizzeria. It's to the Central Texas Veterans Chamber. It's funny, 3 years ago in June, I had my knee replaced and I was doing my rehab and I'm laying on the couch because you can't do much walking. And I Googled, what's a good business book to help me? Because I was running a nonprofit. I was about 15 months into running a nonprofit. And I was like, we just got to get a little bit more organized. And the book E-Myth Revisited, I was looking down to see if I had it handy. E-Myth Revisited popped up. And it's about why most small businesses fail and what you can do about it is the tagline. And it talks about a number of different things about who we are as entrepreneurs, things that we need to consider. Like today, we were talking the primary aim. And most people think, well, I want my business to do this. And I was like, no, 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 no. This is what you want in life. Then you make your business fit your life, not the other way around, right? When we create a job where we work 80 hours a day, 80 hours a week, excuse me, or maybe 100, and we may be making great money, but we're ignoring our family and our relationships and our physical health. Is that really what we want? Because later on, we'll say no. In the heat of the moment, we'll say yes, because we're thirsting for success. But it's how we define success. So I was really enjoying that. Next week, I talked to a group of veterans, just kind of appreciating their service. I'm going to start with World War II and work my way up to modern day. And it's going to be really exciting. So I happen to have 5 talking events in about 4 weeks. So
I love it. It's amazing that you're inspiring people to build a life that they love, including a career that they love, and making sure that it's balanced. It includes all the things, because like you say, a lot of people trade their life for their career and only later say, I wish I. Or there's people who are too afraid to lean in to do what they really love. And then later they're saying, I wish I.
I wish I, yep.
And so it's finding that balance in between the two. And I really do love that you work with veterans. My grandfathers were both vets.
All right.
I have an uncle that's a vet. And he said for him, the greatest gift is someone saying, thank you for your service. And I know the cost of that exchange of, I'm so grateful he's still here with us, and the amount of traveling him and his wife did, and they were never in one place for long. And so he loved his career, and there was an exchange for it. So I love that you do that. And we have a Chapman Family and Friends band. I say we sing sometimes in it. And it's my dad and his brothers and a friend, and they play at Sunnybrook Vets Hospital here. And often, regularly, every last Friday of the month at the Richmond Hill Legion here. And it's the Chapman Family and Friends Lounge, and it has my grandfather's propeller up when it's been engraved. And they even bus the vets down to come to the Legion so that they have an outing, so that they can get to come and hang out at the Legion and watch the band play. So it is near and dear to my heart that we support our vets, and that we do create peace in heaven on earth. So ideally that's not required, and to make sure that there is that support for them. One, just support in general, and two, potentially a career after. And I know my uncle had such a successful career after his time in the Army. So I'm so proud to say he's 80 something now, retired for years and living his best life. And he was able to take his skills and everything he honed within working within the Army. And also they did like financial management after his time, and led into a career which gave him that stability to be in one spot. And he was able to then retire and spend 6 months in BC, and then 6 months here, and 6 months in Florida, and then 6 months here. And he really truly did live a whole life after the time he served. And I would love to see that for so many others. So I love that you were talking to the vets today.
And too many don't transition well. They haven't thought, they think about, how do I say this? They don't think they deserve to have a strong second career and make a lot of money, right? They say, well, all I need is $30,000, $40,000 plus my retirement. It's a good life. Yeah, but if you're going to do it, get paid for it, right? And earn it. And then build a retirement that you really can enjoy. No reason to sit around and watch Price is Right or Jeopardy all day long. Watch it once in a while, you bet. But we watched, before my wife and I got married, she was living in a 4 apartment complex. And the guy down on the first floor, man, it seems like all he did, he just sat in front of the TV. Real big guy, been Marine, but he watched TV all day long. He'd get up, go to the store, buy something, come back, sit down and watch TV. Like, oh man, I want more than that.
Yeah, lack of purpose after, and you've got to
Mhm.
rediscover it 100%.
That's right.
And
Mhm. And
my
that's where I'm at.
uncle
Yeah.
got both knees done,
Oh
and
yeah.
he still plays tennis.
Oh
And
wow.
he's in his
Okay.
80s. So, the magic can happen and it is there for
Yeah.
you. You
Yeah.
just have to recreate yourself. And
That's
so
right.
that's one of the things we're going to talk about today is
Yeah.
really knowing yourself and telling your story and owning your desires. So
That's right.
let's dive into that first tip on owning your
Let's do it.
desire.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what we are just talking about is figuring out what you want to do next. Like when you're coming out of the military, granted, in the military, you're usually, and a lot of times in corporate, you're told what you're going to do, right? For the military, I got in a position at the right time. The boss would say, I'm going to move you to this position. The service would say at some point, you're going to move to this new location and do this job. So I didn't always have a lot of choice, though. We called it a dream sheet. You'd put in what you wanted to do, so they would try to match it, but it was always the needs of the Air Force. But now when you got out, the world is kind of your oyster, as they say. You get an opportunity to do kind of whatever you want to do. And it really comes down at the um, intersection of skills, interests, passion, experiences, right? You got to be good at what you want to do, or there's just, maybe it's not going to produce any income. Or maybe it becomes a hobby if you're not going to make money at it. But it was kind of funny when I got out and I started doing after my management consulting career, I got into my entrepreneurship. Achieve New Heights is the company. And I started figuring out, do I want to do leadership and serve the architect engineer community? Or do I want to do career transition and really serve the veteran community? And I was really known for the career transition side. I'm building into that leadership side because, like last night, just got incredible results from it. It just powered me to think more about it. And maybe it's my philanthropy side that does the career transition, but both of them I'm good at, I'm passionate about, they're good experiences. But if you put me on a board designing buildings or maintaining facilities, no, not interested. It's not my interest. I still have skills in it, but it's not my interest. So
So you're good at
think,
it, yet do
you know,
you love it? Does it leave you fulfilled?
that's right. So own your desire, think into it, really ask yourself the questions. When I was getting ready to transition out of the service in 2008, I asked myself those questions. I was facilitated at this executive transition assistance program. And it was, do you want to supervise people or not? Do you want to do business development or not? Do you want to be an individual contributor? Do you want to travel? How much do you want to travel? How many hours a week do you want to work? There's all these questions. And a lot of times we just quickly skip over them. But boy, when you spend time in it, you kind of build a definition, like a job description, but a definition for your life, a life description. And then you make everything else fit into that, right? I want to spend time with my kids. I want to spend time with my wife and go out on dates. I want to travel. I want to go camping, once or twice a month. I want to go to Europe, see Europe and explore more. I want to go to the Canadian Rockies. And once you start putting those things down, you start to build your life and then work your job around it. Now, I actually got challenged one time. We were in a men's group at church. And the guy said, yeah, it's all well and good. You guys are all 55, 60 years old. You've gone through the lessons I'm learning now, which is working your tail off to try to make it so you can be where you're at. But now you're telling me to do it now. That's not what you guys did. And I said, oh, touche. But I would have had a lot less heartache. I think I almost got divorced a couple of times because I worked too much. I'm suffering a little bit of disconnection with my kids because I probably work too much. So it's probably that advice of helping people avoid the pain. But I think the whole thing is figure out what you really want to do in life when you're young, when you're middle, when you're older, and work into that. Planning is so important.
Yeah, and I love that. And I I really wish for more people that they would pause and ask themselves those questions and pause and ask themselves, what do I really love? What am I really good at? how can I leave my impact on the world? It's the Ikagaya. It's a Japanese.
Ikigai, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And it's a Japanese proverb, right? It's like, what do you love? What are you good at? And then how can you really fill that gap in the
Mhm.
market with those things? Like, what are you good at and what do you love? And then that
Mhm.
is your gift that God gave you
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
serve humanity with. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, many of us follow in the footsteps of conditioning
Mhm.
of society or a family and do what we think we're supposed to
Mhm.
instead of what we truly want to. And there's no fault of anyone. No one's like, I remember sitting with my guidance
Mhm.
counselor in high school, no offense to her, wherever she's at. And it was not helpful
Is
when
that
she
right?
was helping me pick my college or university. And in fact, she was like, no, you won't get into university. You should go to
Ah.
college. And not only did I get into every university I applied to, the school I went to, I got a scholarship to. Right. So unfortunately, small minds keep people small.
Mhm.
And so
That's right.
I wasn't asked the right questions. I wasn't
Mhm.
directed in the right space. And luckily, I had two teachers that I could model
Mhm.
who I liked what they were doing. I asked what their degree was. They told me what was the best school and best program, and so I applied there and I got in there.
All right.
And I went that way, and it was, I just still remember the days sitting on the front lawn and crying, going like, what a big commitment, what a big decision, so much pressure. Okay, what do I love? Well, I love working with the human body. I'd been an athlete, a competitive athlete
Mhm.
my whole life. So you know what? Human kinetics gives me that opportunity
Mhm.
if I want to work as a physio. It's also an undergrad. I could go and become a teacher. And it also splits into a sport management where I could work with teams. And so I just knew it's what I was good at, it's what I really enjoyed. And so I was like, I'm going to go with that one.
Mhm.
And I did practice as a kinesiologist for a decade, and helped heal so many people. And I'm so grateful
There you
for
go.
that I did. And I truly made that decision by asking myself, knowing that what I wanted to do, I knew it needed
Mhm.
to, like, with the time investment, the money investment, it had to bring me joy. It had
Mhm.
to be something I liked, and I was already good at it.
There
And
you go.
that's how the career started. And for
Mhm.
me, I know I've transitioned many times, and those are the same questions I ask. And it's what we teach our
Mm.
entrepreneurs is to build their dream business
Mhm.
around their dream life.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
love how you were speaking to that, to
Mm.
build your career to fit the life
Mm.
that you desire. In positive
Mhm.
psychology, I believe the statistic was that more than 40% of the population will hit 60 and
Mm.
spend the rest of their life in shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yep.
They're not willing to make that transition. They're not willing to pause to ask themselves the
Mhm.
questions. One, they often might just not have a dream or have stopped dreaming
Mhm.
or slowly waiting to die, or they feel like they've done what they should and yet there's
Mhm.
still so much time left. Like I
That's
said,
right.
my uncle's in his 80s
Mm.
still playing
Mhm.
tennis. Like, don't you want those years to be quality filled?
That's right.
And so really pausing to ask yourself, what do we desire? What do we really want to
Mhm.
do in our life?
Mm.
And what are we good at? And then how can
Mhm.
we turn that back around and give that
Mhm.
gift to the world, whether it's through a
That's right.
career, philanthropy,
Mhm.
business, whatever that is. And maybe it's all of them,
Mhm.
as it is for most of us, right?
Yep.
And we just have to slow down to speed up. We
Mhm.
have to
Yep.
pause to ask the
Mm.
questions and answer the
Mhm.
questions and do the inner diving
Yep.
to make
Exactly
it
right.
reflect on the
Mm.
outside to what will truly
Mm.
leave us happy and
Mm.
fulfilled at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
I think some of us almost are afraid to do the inner diving. We're afraid of what they're going to find or not find, right? And I think that's where the own your desire comes in. If you spend the time to really think into it and then say, okay, I'm going to go after it. Because like you said, we're so conditioned, right? Think about the small business owner who has kids. They want them to come in and carry that business on because they put so much time and effort into the business. They don't want to see it die, but they force the kid to come in as a young adult and start taking on that job. And it may not be their skill set, their interest, their passion, may not have good experience with it. There's just nothing's good about it, but they're forced to take it and they're miserable. Why would you force your kid to do that? Be better off to sell it or close it. Celebrate that you had success with it, you loved it, it got you where you wanted to go. And even when you think back into the early 1900s, there was a lot of people who just got into jobs because life was tough and they just needed money. And that could be a phase of where you're at. So as some people get out of the service, military, they're saying, I just need a job to pay the bills. Okay, well, own that and then take the next step.
Yeah, put a time limit on it.
Yeah. I'm going to have to work it for this point until I get to this much money, or I can qualify for this job, which is where I want to be, and I will move to that, and I will move to that. And I see a lot of people, we get criticized today for job hopping, which is unfortunate because you're moving from that to that next opportunity to help you climb the ladder to move. And it's not always going to happen within the same company. So don't be afraid of that. Don't punish people for that.
Yeah, and it's building the skill set over the time through the
right.
different opportunities. And back in the day, yes, most people worked one career, one job for 40 to 60 years, maybe not 60, maybe. Who knows? Bob Proctor, coached until he passed away. He was 86 or 87.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, it's amazing. And with that being said, even if you retired from your career at 60, there's a whole other life still waiting for you. Mastery, the rule of mastery is the 10,000 hour rule, which is about 1,000 hours a year. So 10 years, if you retired at 65 to 75, you could literally build mastery in anything that you love and that you're good at.
Yeah.
You just have to pause to ask those questions. Which I think, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I have to celebrate some of my friends who are reaching 65. I just turned 65 this year and I'm still working part-time. And I see a bunch of people like, well, I want to retire in the next year or so. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? No, you're just no supposed to in this. You get to decide, right? So I'm balancing off that. We're going camping a couple of times a month, 4-day weekends. We're going to travel to see the grandkids. We're going to Europe. We're maybe just do a staycation, whatever it may be. And then at halftime, I am coaching, speaking, training others to get that other intellectual satisfaction, the servant satisfaction, right? Both of those energize me. And I don't want either of them to go away. So, and I work out every day and I'm trying to build back into my woodworking hobby. So I enjoy making things with my hands. So, how do we do all that? I can't do it as a full-time job working 40, 50 hours a week, but at 2024 I can. So, and it's not that I need the money. It's just that I want to pour back into people. And people, when they pay for things, they pay more attention to it. We were just talking, right? This luncheon today, we had 48 people sign up and 3 people show up. It's like, I get you might forget about it, but 48, 45 of the 48, that's just surprising. So we've gotten into this thing of being able to sign up for everything and not track it. And that's just crazy, which goes back to own your desire. Own, they should own that they signed up. They should remember that. And
we've built a very casual society which lacks integrity.
That's right. That's a good way to say it.
And lack commitment. I just redid our NLP, timeline therapy, hypnotherapy practitioner course. I audited it. It's a 7-day fast track. And we finished the course with a preacher on commitment. And the whole lecture was about owning your commitment and how our society most people will never be successful because they're not willing to commit. There's this lack of commitment, fear of commitment, lack of integrity, lack of willing to overcome the obstacles to receive the rewards and what have you. And so there ideally will be a shift in society going forward with more commitment, more integrity, more commitment, I guess is the word. And there's another word I'm thinking of where you actually, I guess it's integrity. You do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, absolutely. And it requires something of people. And like you said, to have something on the line. And so that's why even in Landmark, we did a 4-month course and they only charged $250 because they just know that there needs to be an
You put
exchange.
something down. Yep.
Time, money, and energy are the three things we ask for an exchange in working with us as practitioners. And so whether the money comes as an energy exchange in services or the money value, there needs to be that exchange, because then there's something on the line for them, and then they're willing to show up.
Yep.
And so hopefully that is coming back into society. And I know with your background, that was a non-negotiable, right? Like if you just showed up or didn't show up or showed up late, like that was not acceptable in your career. And you can imagine that's a lot of society today. And so hopefully we see that transitioning and improving as time goes on. It is something I talk about regularly, about that commitment and having that integrity and keeping our promises to ourselves. And doing what we said we were going to do when we said we were going to do it the way it's meant to be done, even though we may not feel like it at the time.
Exactly. And not to say that I'm perfect at it, right? There's times that I miss, but when I'm in the habit now, when I sign up for a podcast, when I sign up for a meeting, I put it right in my calendar. And if I'm going to miss it, I shoot a note to the organizer, or unsubscribe or whatever, right? Unregister, so that they know that I'm not going to be there. And I try to do that. Not perfect, but I'm close. And I think back to some people I talked to, they were complaining once about their weight. And I said, well, all you have to do is get this like MyFitnessPal app or Fitbit app and track what you eat and track your calories and your energy level. It's like, oh, I don't want to do any of that.
Then you don't get the result.
Then you don't get the result. You're going to get the same thing you're getting, right? And same thing with time management. People are burnt out. But I love to say yes to things. I love being involved in these things. I get all this excitement from it. Well, that's good, but the result of that is you're burning yourself out. So pick the things that are the most enjoyable, that you can get excitement of, but don't overwhelm yourself where you're not getting sleep, you're not getting relaxation, right? You're over stressing yourself.
Overstimulated.
Overstimulated. Success comes from your calendar. And that's not to say that you have to load it up. You have to be very intentional with what goes in your calendar, and then hold yourself accountable to that. I'm going to do this during this hour. That's the hour I get to do it. I'm going to get these things done today. I'm going to focus on that. And I'm going to end at this time. I had that yesterday. I was writing a book chapter for a book. I had to submit it by yesterday. So I was editing through it, working a few quotes and stuff like that. Had to have it done by 5. So at 4:58, I submitted it. Right. And it was done. And then I went off to my speech, my training last night. So that commitment, she wrote me back a note and said, hey, take your time. I could have done it late at night. I probably could have done it today or tomorrow, but I made a commitment. She asked me for it by the 29th. I made a commitment to do it by the 29th. And I did it. So
you stuck to your word.
That's right. Integrity is one of my strong values. Happened to be the Air Force #1 core value.
I figured.
But there's a lot of people that don't own it. And I own those 3 Air Force values. They are part of me. And even the appearance piece, right? Probably because I can't grow long hair and I can't grow a long beard. I don't do it. But so many veterans come out and they just let themselves go. And to me, it's, well, you didn't buy into the appearance piece of the military, that for pride and professionalism.
And which
hope that doesn't come back to haunt me.
No. And it's okay because it's really important about self-image. We've actually had guests come in who even speak about who are style coaches who come in, and she's actually one of my favorite, Katie Watford, and she basically teaches that, who's going to hire you if you show up like you're going shopping at Target and you don't look like a leader. Was her example. Like she's in the States as well. We don't have Target here anymore. And so it's really important to show up. And the lesson she did with us was to show up like the woman on your vision board, that true leader, to enter the spirit of it, to embody it. And they actually, I know we're going to move on with the tips. And I just want to say one more thing about that. They did a study. And so they had people sitting at like a large table, all doing work. Half got to come in like their pajamas, track pants, whatever. And the other half showed up professionally. The people who dressed professionally were 25% more productive.
Really?
That's how
That's,
impactful how you show up impacts
yeah.
your work ethic.
Yeah. Your confidence. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. When I go to speak,
Absolutely.
I watch some of the speakers come in blue jeans and a sweatshirt, and I'm always in dress pants. Today I actually felt bad because I had a short sleeve shirt on, but I usually wear a long sleeve shirt, maybe a suit coat. But I said I'm going to just wear and it was a pizzeria, so it just fit better. But
Yes,
but it
yeah.
was a professional appearance, so I'm always trying to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, so we want to embody it to become it. And in
Mhm.
order to do that, we first have to know thyself and know what we want to embody. So tell us about the need to
Oh,
review.
that was smooth, man. That was good. Yeah.
Tell us
Tip number.
about the need to review the skills, strength, your experiences,
Yeah.
and personalities to truly figure out what to do next.
Yeah, there's a saying from John Maxwell, I think it might be others as well. Know yourself to grow yourself. If you
Mm,
don't know where you're at and where you're going, you can't create a plan to get there. So it really comes down to understanding the skill set that you have. Are you more administrative? It's like gifts, from the Bible. Are you more administrative? Are you more leadership? Are you more servant? What is it that you really enjoy? What are those skill sets that you have? I was really good at math and science, not so good at English. Probably, just thinking back to what you said earlier, conforming. Men didn't really enjoy music. There was a lot of pressure not to be good at music when I came through. So
mm,
didn't put my time into it. But math and science was something that was kind of culturally, I was supposed to be at. So I followed that. And because I was good at those, I found some strengths in applying those to problem solving, to design, to um, different ways to bring those to life. Experiences, I really enjoyed that piece. I've really been focusing on that lately because you may have a skill in something and you may have a strength in it, but if you start to apply it, you don't like it,
mm,
it's not meant to be, right? We talked earlier about I really focused in on environmental and emergency management. I could have done facility maintenance. I could have done design and construction. In fact, I had a lot of people tell me when I got out of the military after 27 years, that's where the money is. I said, that's fine. I'm not driven by money. I'm driven by impact. And I just love the impact on the natural environment that I can create to clean up pollution, to keep areas from getting pollution so that us and our generations after us can go and they can swim and they can fish and they can do all those things and enjoy nature the way it's meant to be. That's
mm.
what I want to do. And there was plenty enough money in that. So it's not like I was going poor, but I found the experiences working on an area. In my chapter yesterday, I was talking about when flow. I remember my first semester at college doing a surveying course. And when you survey the circuit, at the end, you have to go back and balance it out because no measurement's exact. So you have error in every one, but you got to balance them out so that the circuit balances. And told us this was going to take some time. I went home that afternoon, and at 2:30 I started. I don't even think I got dinner. Went well past my bedtime. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning when I finally finished the homework. And it was just heads down, making it happen. And I loved it. It was so much fun. So that just really told me from a disc personality, right? I'm a C, I'm conscientious, I'm compliant, very analytical. I love numbers. And it fit in there. So learning about myself, and that fits into the personality piece, right? There's so many different personality assessments out there. Myers-Briggs, the MBTI, right? Most people don't remember what it all stands for, but they remember the introvert extrovert one, as I do. There's love languages, there's DISC, there's colors, there's 4 lenses, there's so many, 47 of them. And doesn't matter which one, and each one measures a little bit different thing. So you shouldn't necessarily just focus in on one, do multiple, but understand what that means and how you apply it. Under DISC, I'm an SC. And as soon as they told me the word for that is peacemaker, I was like, that's it. I remembered immediately every time I was in a conversation and people started fighting, kind of verbally sparring with each other and trying to take control of the meeting, I was trying to bring peace to the conversation. And somebody finally looked at me one time and said, we don't have to be peaceful. We need to have this argument. Okay, well, then go at it. But it still bugged me. So
Yeah.
it just that nomenclature for that style fit. And I just started really exploring it. And I'm seeing how that shows up in my life. And now when I'm in that situation, all of a sudden that personality shows up. And it's like, that's not going to serve me right here. I know why I'm going that direction. Buying a vehicle, right? S's typically question. You will do all kinds of research and stuff and always question, is this the right one? Is this the right one? And sometimes it almost leads to a lack of decision. And then after you buy it, you're always saying, did I make the right decision? Did I make the right decision? Did I make the right decision? So about 3 years ago, we had been looking for a year or two for a new trailer, moving from a pop-up to a hard-sided, just because when we were out in the summer, just air conditioner running all day and 100-degree heat, I'd rather have it with a hard side. It doesn't lose all the air conditioning. Same with the winter with the heat. So we'd already kind of figured out kind of what we wanted. And then the pop-up started falling apart. And we knew what we wanted. We called the store. We laid down the money, figured out the delivery date, and I was good. My wife looked at me and said, that didn't take you long. And in 2 days, you haven't second-guessed that decision at all. A, because I know why I do it. B, because it was the only camper that I could stand up in. I'm 6'4.5".
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a need.
Yeah. So it was kind of an either or.
Yeah.
So, but once I put all that together, I'm working hard not to second guess myself.
I love that.
Yeah.
And
so I think all of those things, know yourself so that you can grow yourself, so you can go to where you want to be. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I just want to say, like, the more you know yourself, the more you can say yes to the things that you love and no to the things that you don't. And again, it comes back to the calendar. And I know everyone's heard me say it, as Bob Proctor says, whatever's in your calendar, you're trading your life for. So I hope it's worth you. So the more you get to know yourself and what you love and what brings you joy and what you're good at, the more of it you can do and the happier and more fulfilled you can be. We came here to be creators. God gave us a gift, and our gift is to create with our imagination. And with that, in order to do that, we actually have to pause and ask, what would I love? And then imagine it, and then figure out our next best step. And so looking at your skills, your strengths, your experiences, your personalities, you mentioned tons of different tests that people can look at so that you can figure out what's your next step. And that goes whether you're in a career or you're in a business, pivoting a business. I know many people over these last few years have been pivoting their business. Whether they're growing and evolving. Obviously, every 2 to 3 years, we are in a pivot because we are evolving, and then our business has to evolve with us. Otherwise, we're no longer fulfilled. And that goes with the career as well. If you are growing, and if you want to pivot it to a way that leaves you more fulfilled, you have to know yourself.
Yep. It was really interesting to see how many people during COVID, they got used to the remote. And I think it wasn't just not being in the office, it was everything around the office, right? It was the in San Antonio, it's 30 to 45-minute commute down, could be an hour back, depending on which time you're coming home. So that's an hour and a half to 2 hours a day sitting in that vehicle, right? It goes into the preparation and everything in the morning to get ready to be in the office. It's the constant people walking by your office trying to steal your time. You can control that better when you're remote, right? Initially, they said that we were much more productive. Now, I guess the studies are saying we're not. I got to go back and look at some of that and really understand that. I can't see how it changed. But people are fighting now for, I want the better quality of life. And I can do this job remotely. My daughter, she just started 2 months ago living in a camper with her and her puppy. They're going to tour the United States, go to national parks. She's got a job. She works 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Project manager, all remote. It's meant to be remote. There's nothing different about if she was in the office, she'd be doing the same thing. That's when I was with Booz Allen, same thing. My boss finally, I said, boss, do I need to be in the office every day? And he goes, no, you decide. And I would find sometimes I would come to the office, close the door, and be on the phone all day. I can do that at home.
Yeah, right? I don't need to drive here to do it.
Yeah, I saved 2 hours a day. My ultimate day, I remember, was I went to the gym at 5. I got home at 7:30. I mowed the yard for an hour, got it all done. Got an 8:30 call. So I walked inside, I'm sweating. It was a telephone call, not a Zoom call. This is 2011.
Before we Zoomed.
Before we Zoomed. And so I'm on the call and I'm engaging as I'm cooling off. And then when we're done, I jumped in the shower, hit the next meeting at 9:30. It's like, yeah, that was productive use of time today. So now
Yeah.
my wife and I could go out to dinner and not feel guilty. I had to get back and mow the yard and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. You got to
yeah,
take
but
care of you first instead of
that's
spending
right.
that time in the car.
Yeah. So I'm really kind of sad that so many companies now are forcing people back. And if the job doesn't require it, why are we doing it?
Yeah.
Just
The
because we're
quality of
working.
life is important.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So know
Yes.
yourself.
Yes, know yourself so that you
Mhm.
can grow and create that life you desire, the one
That's
you
right.
truly desire, not the one you think you're supposed to.
That's right.
And so, tip number 3 is tell your story to separate yourself from
Mhm.
the people pile. So, tell us, what does that mean?
Yeah. Back in 2015, when I got certified with the John Maxwell team, John had just finished his book, Intentional Living. And he challenged us in the book to go back and think about your stories. And it's kind of funny, about a year or two later, we're in one of these meetings with John. There's about 300 of us. It was 300 of us in the room with John. And this young lady stands up and says, John, I'm teaching your material, but it's not resonating with my audience. And he says, well, how are the stories that you developed about what you did? He goes, oh, I don't have any stories. I'm using your stories. And he laughed. He said, you telling my stories isn't going to work. You telling your stories will be amazing. Well, I don't have any stories. Well, I had just gone through the exercise of finding my stories. I took a piece of paper and I just kind of wrote back first thing that came to my mind: second grade, third grade, fourth grade, college, first freshman, sophomore, assigned by assignments in the military. And whatever came to my mind, I wrote it down. And it was like brainstorming. Pretty soon I had 4 pages front and back of just bullets. And that was all the kind of things that I was really proud of, that excited me, that brought energy to me. So now when I talk about this a lot, the people pile, separate yourself from the people pile, because we don't tell stories when we're looking for a new job, we all look the same. We
Mm.
give our job description, right? I was responsible for. Well, when I was a squadron commander in the Air Force, civil engineering commander, there was 66 of us, all with pretty much the same job description. So if all we said was responsible for maintaining the facilities, responsible for maintaining the utilities, responsible for response, when a tornado hits or a hurricane hits, disaster response, whatever I said, they're all the same. But it was interesting that every one of us actually worked on some different things. Wing commander gave us a special project. Maybe a tornado did hit and how they recovered it when others didn't. So every one of us had a different story. And when we told that story, we started to separate ourselves. And that's the same kind of thing I tell people when they're transitioning: is go beyond the I was responsible for, but to here was the problem. Here's how I solved it. Here's the new impact results. And I think we struggle with that because we're trying to be humble, right? We're starting to talk about ourselves. And most, especially military, don't want to talk about themselves, right? There's no I in team, but there is me.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love
So you
that.
have to own, it goes back to own your desire, own that story that you did, right? So when I was in Baghdad working the reconstruction, when I was deployed in different places, when I was taking on different jobs where I got thrown in at the last minute to run a rapid runway repair team, for a major inspection, and we got an excellent. I took actions to bring more accountability to the team, to get them focused, and we did great. I am part of that story. I should be proud of that. One of the young ladies we just talked to at the lunch with the Central Texas Veterans Chamber, she said, I did medical admin. And you could almost feel like she was shying away,
Mm.
almost embarrassed that that's what she did. I'm like, why are you ashamed of that? She says, well, I'm personally not, but a lot of people have really ridiculed me for that's all I did. It's like, man, be proud. All the people in the military needed you to have our records up to date. You did that task. You kept them current. You made sure the right things were in the right place so the doctors could find it, right? Things got filed. That's all important. Be proud of it. So you solved problems. So I think we all need to really understand the story and be able to tell it, whether it's an interview, whether it's in conversation, whether it's, helping people. We as leaders, when we cast that vision, we communicate, and we communicate through stories. We get pictures in other people's mind about the challenge that we overcame. And they say, wow, I want to follow this guy. And that's what motivates people. So tell your story.
I love it. And that goes like we've even had a guest on to speak about owning your story for sales and how
Mm-hmm.
that's so important. Like you and I could do very similar things. And
Mm-hmm.
yet when we teach, when we share our stories, it will resonate with different people who will resonate
Mm-hmm.
with us.
Mm-hmm.
And even in NLP, in the course, one of the exercises is actually practicing storytelling. And so we either make up a story or we pull from an experience, and we use that to help the client see an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity of how they can solve their problem without telling them how to solve it. And it helps
Yes.
overcome the critical factor, which
Mm-hmm.
blocks that, like, you're giving me advice and telling me what to do. And actually, they
Mm-hmm.
start to listen, like, oh, that's interesting. I could relate to that.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they're taking inspired action all on their own, and you didn't have to tell them, and they figured out their
Right.
next best step. So there
That's
is
what.
so much magic in storytelling, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's in sales, whether it's to separate yourself, whether it's to own your
Mm-hmm.
story,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's to separate yourself from the people pile
People
and
pile.
become that charismatic individual that you are and show
Mm.
it. And
Yeah.
so I know that you've got a great gift for everyone today. So tell us about it.
Mm. Yeah. One thing I've been focusing a lot about is if every resume looks the same, goes back to tip number 3, then we're all in the people pile. And you got to do 2 things to get yourself out of that people pile. You either got to pull yourself out of the pile, by writing your resume in a different way, just like we we're talking, tell your story, or you got to have somebody else pull you out of the pile, which is like networking, right? Make a connection, get your resume in front of the right person. But what we can control is that targeted resume. And most people write one resume and they send it out to every job.
Mm.
And, I think about it from this perspective. If I took this piece of paper, I call it just like the newspaper above the fold, right? Newspapers used to fold, and above the fold was a picture and a headline. Think back to Pearl Harbor, D-Day. Japan bombs Pearl Harbor, right? And you see a picture of these battleships burning. I want to buy that paper. I want to read about it. I'm going to open it. I'm going to read all these stories. I'm going to look at the ads. I'm probably going to go buy things. It becomes very successful. Your resume is kind of the same. Take it, fold it. Above the fold is your summary and your skills. And that should tell the story of how you qualify for that job. Most people say, oh no, it tells me about my whole life history. But your life history may not qualify for either job. And the resume is your application for the job. So you got to write those very specifically toward what they're asking for, the job description, the mandatory requirements, the preferred requirements, the skills that they're looking for, maybe some of the job descriptions should be right up there. And in 6 to 8 seconds, that reader is going to say, check, 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 check. Yep. Or check, check, check. Nope, nothing's there. Toss it away. So target the resume. So what I did was I wrote a guide that goes through the pieces of how do I break down that job description? How do I pull those certain pieces over almost in a right left side? And then I bring my stories in, go back to tip 3, right? I had this story that showed I was really good at this. Not just I was responsible for, but we call it STAR, situation, task, action, results, or I guess you could say SAR, situation, action, results, right? But it gets you interested in the story. You tell the story like the story brand, Donald Miller, or like every good book and movie, it has a hero, it has a problem, probably has a guide to help you solve the problem, and then it has a new situation at the end because you fix the problem. No matter what it is, everything follows that. And it's so enticing when you watch it or you read it, you can't put it down. I remember reading a book here last year or so about Americans, President's Daughter, I think it was called. And President's daughter got kidnapped, and he was now out of being president, but now he's using the different resources in his training through his military career and presidency to find his daughter. He's over in Libya and all. It's just, I couldn't put it down. 500 pages. I could not put it down. That's what I want your resume to look like, right? It's full of little quips. It's like, I want to read the next one. I want to call him in because I want to hear more about this story, right? So help people with a guide for targeting your resume to prospective clients so that you separate yourself from the people pile. They want to read it. They want to talk to you more. And I think that's what will get people hired.
I love it. That's amazing. So you guys, that link is right there below. It's a great opportunity to grab it and then also be able to connect more with Don. And that's his free gift for you. So if you are in a transition or you're looking to build your skill set and add more into your repertoire and your tool belt, then you're working on that resume, then you definitely want to check that out. That's going to be super helpful for you.
Yeah.
And John, we are getting to time. So we got 2 minutes. Tell us, what is your favorite book and why?
Well, Patrick Lencioni really excited me when he wrote the book, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And I love it because it goes through a story. He tells it in a story, just like we were just talking about. Tells it in a story of a company that's failing. They bring in a CEO. She walks through how she builds the team back. She has to let go of a few people. She talks through the conversations that she had with them and how she built the team. It goes through the metrics. It goes through the quarterly, the monthly checks. It goes through all these different pieces. And what I really love is she talked about conflict. And we're so 67% of the people are S's in the disc, and we resist conflict. Well, most people don't want to, when they're in a staff meeting, hold other people accountable. But one of the dysfunctions is we fear having that conflict. And we don't have, and he actually says there's a gradient as you go across. And you have to stop before you get to the point where you're insulting somebody. But on the other side of that, where you're just holding somebody accountable and talking about it for the benefit of the business, we need to hold each other accountable to actions taken or not taken. I love the way he described that. And every one of the 5 is really well done in a story. And it just brought it into my psyche like no other book. You could read about it, but hearing a story, how it was applied, was so much better. So I just love that book. And I've used that to help clients in different ways.
Amazing. It reminds me of A Leader Without a Title. I know his name is slipping my mind. I can see his face. I can hear his voice. And it is all, he also wrote The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Can't think of his name right now. Anyways, he writes his books in stories. So they're amazing life lessons and they're in stories. And so there's so much magic and power in that. So thank you so much for being on the show today. Thank you for the gift for our audience. Congratulations on owning your second, third career now, actually, basically.
That's right.
And, Don 4.0. Moving on to Don 5.0, I'm sure coming soon, and the mastery that you will build in speaking and leadership to help other people to see that they can keep going, that there's so much more after their first career. And we don't all just work 9 to 5 for 40 years and then retire anymore. There's so much possibility. And if you come here to create, you might as well keep creating until your last breath.
That's right.
Thank you, Don, so much for being on the show.
One more exciting thing here. I am 65, and tonight, my first book will be released. I'm a contributing author to a book about exciting moments in life. I can't think of the exact title off the top of my head, but I wrote a story about how I almost got kicked out of officer training school on day 3, and it was really interesting. And then I wrote a chapter for another book yesterday about how to use how to delegate tasks so that you bring energy and you pick the right person, and a bunch of other components of that and the strengths of that. So that one will come out in December. So by Christmas, I could be part of 2 books, and it's going to lead me into writing another book. And here I am 65. So
anything is possible as long as you know what you want, you know yourself, and then you go out and tell that story, right?
That's right.
I love it. Amazing. So guys, may you keep creating no matter when you're starting, and just truly ask yourself, what do you love? What are you good at? And then how can you give that gift to the world? And may you go and own it. So thank you again, Don, so much.
Thank you much. I really appreciate being here.
Oh, our pleasure. And remember, everyone, stay happy, healthy, wealthy, expect magic and miracles. And what is the best that can happen? We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning into the Own It Show today. Make sure to leave a review and subscribe. We want to thank you for your time and energy and extend the invite for you to join us in the Own It community on Facebook, an incubator for conscious entrepreneurs so that they can step into their greatness. We have tons of free trainings and resources for you, as well as a great opportunity to network with people leaving a positive impact on this world. Make sure to come back for next week's show. Have an incredible day. Remember, expect magic and miracles. Stay happy, healthy, and wealthy.